In today's video, I'm going to cover 6 things that you can start doing right away to turn that train back in the direction of reconciliation and stop the divorce. And if you've already got a divorce, let's get remarried, guys. Let's get started.
You just got to be coachable.
Friends, I'm here to tell you, if you're new to the channel, the content that you're going to get on this channel is radically different than anything else in the world that currently exists on social media. And it may be a bad thing, or for you, it might be a very good thing. So subscribe to the channel. And more importantly, if you're trying to save the relationship, do yourself a favor and press that bell notification so that the algorithm doesn't suppress this content, so you're notified in real time as I post new videos weekly. Friends, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Griffin, and I help men who are facing unwanted divorce or separation forever restore and rebuild their relationship the right way so that they don't keep repeating this pattern with the same woman through separation or with another woman if you've already been through a divorce or separation forever. So let's go ahead and get started saving your marriage. Step number 1, the first thing that you can do to save or restore your marriage and stop a divorce is to stop doing what you've been doing or stop doing what you've already done. So what do I mean when I say stop doing what you've been doing or stop doing what you've already done? So let me ask you this. Number 1, you want the relationship or the marriage restored. You're facing a divorce possibly, and you want to stop that divorce before it costs your family a broken home, broken finances, enabling her to fully exit the marriage. Maybe you're about to give her $1 million or $1,000 or $100 million, whatever the case is, but you're about to be in a position legally where she's going to be empowered and enabled to separate from you long-term more comfortably. Most men, whenever I meet them, they have a need for speed because if an actual divorce takes place, there's some obstacles oftentimes with child support or alimony or even assets that your wife would walk away when the assets are divided. That hurts everybody in the household. The quality of life typically will lower based on statistics because the household finances are divided. And so what we would like to do, if we can, is nip it in the bud, that train that's heading for game over, that train that's heading for divorce forever, that train that may have already reached legal divorce, but she's not remarried and you would like to reconcile. There's hope, and there's a very good chance that you can turn that train around if you stop doing what you've done in the past and you stop doing what you're currently doing. If the marriage isn't restored, the relationship isn't restored, what you're doing is not working. Now, what you probably are doing is what you think might work, and what most men do whenever they're trying to restore the relationship, they typically do one of 2 things. First, they start out doing things that are aligning their actions, meaning what you're actually doing. You're aligning those actions with your feelings, what you think would work, but it's actually having the opposite effect and pushing her the wrong way, maybe even pushing her into the arms of another man. Denver, if that's happened, if she has a boyfriend, if she has a legitimate affair partner, maybe we're divorced legally and she's living with him. It doesn't matter. If she's not remarried to another man, I have very good success rates helping men who are facing or already had an unwanted divorce or separation. I can help you pivot so you turn the train around, and you turn it around rapidly in the DivorceStoppers program that I run. But we want to turn it around rapidly so you can start making fast progress back to reconciliation. And it's Denver, what if there's another man involved? Do you think there's hope? Can I still do it? Not only do I think you do it, sometimes I actually get a little bit excited when I hear this because we can use that bastard to help speed up the reconciliation process. He hasn't been through my program. He hasn't been watching this YouTube channel. So he really doesn't know actually how to run a relationship. I teach men how to do that, and I teach you how to do that on an expert level to the point that if there is a legitimate affair partner, if she does have a boyfriend, if she is living with someone, we can make him jealous to the point that he starts pushing her back because he'll start putting the pressure on her that you might have been putting on her up until this point, or that you used to be putting on her. The other thing that men do is in the beginning, they go and they run to Jesus, they run to God, and oftentimes she'll run from God if you have a faith-based system. If that's not you, just hear me out. We'll go to the next bullet point here in a second, but this is very normal. And so one of the things that maybe there's some danger in this is the actual Bible says that you can be a stumbling block to your brother or your sister. So what do I mean by that? Your newfound faith, where you've ran to God, can actually push her from him because she resents it because what have you been doing before you did that? And she's not buying it. Now, for you, it might be genuinely real, but if you're posting scriptures and stuff like that on Facebook, it's causing her to resent religion in general. And I would say that's what the Bible means when it says you can be a stumbling block to your sister. How many of you have been doing that? Put that in the comments. Now, that wasn't actually what I was going to say, though. A lot of men, after they see that they've been praying, they've been asking God for help, but it's not working, and that's actually one of the steps. And I'm going to cover that in just a minute. So you want to stop doing everything that you've done in the past that hasn't worked. That's called crazy. That's called being on a hamster wheel, and you're not a hamster. You're a strong, powerful, kind, calm, connected leader. Whenever I don't feel like it, well, keep watching my YouTube videos, and I will help you become that. The Bible says to get a vision, make it plain, write it down, and run to it. These YouTube videos are giving you that vision. They're making it plain, and I teach men how to run to that. Up until now, you've been aligning your actions with your feelings, and that's giving you the opposite result. Because a man that aligns his actions with his feelings will keep staying on the hamster wheel. He'll keep doing it. And a man that aligns his actions with his feelings is a feminine man. Well, Denver, I work out at the gym. I got tattoos. I'm a mess. No, I'm saying that's a feminine trait. And that'll cause her to feel emotionally unsafe. And a woman processes fear, emotional and physical. She's afraid of a shark, and she doesn't feel emotionally secure or safe with you. A woman processes that safety and that fear in the same exact spot in the human brain for a female. A man does not. Men process fear of a lion right here and fear that their wife is going to leave them forever over here. Two different places. Why am I telling you this? Because if she's rolling the car window down and cracking it now, when you guys hand off the kids and you're thinking she's just being a bitch. No, she's not. She physically is fearful of you. A lot of times it is a very real thing if you don't make her feel emotionally safe. Because for a woman, emotional safety and physical safety are processed in the same part of the brain. So for her, that is a very real and true thing. Hopefully this will give you some wins just understanding that. So what is the second thing that you can do right away, which will actually help you restore this relationship by helping you align your action steps with your goals and not your feelings? A man has a goal to restore his marriage. He starts aligning his actions with that goal and not how he feels. 99 times out of 100, what you're feeling like you should do is exactly the opposite action step that you should take if there's a snowball's chance in hell that you want this marriage restored. So what helps you get in a mental state, maybe even go so far as to call it a paradigm shift, where psychologically you can change up here, which will help your subconscious understand, how do I align my actions with my goals rather than the way I've been doing this with my feelings? Well, here's how you do it. Step number 2. Stop needing the marriage. You're the man. You're supposed to be the one that helps her carry her weight. But instead, what you've been doing is you're putting the weight of the world on her shoulders. If every fiber of your being needs this marriage restored before you can be happy, that's putting too much pressure on her. Stop needing the marriage. Stop needing the relationship. Go be you. Take advantage of this alone time that you have to grow spiritually, physically, intellectually, character, and your emotional attractiveness. Take advantage of the separation. Remember, I'm doing in-house separation. Good. Increasing your intelligence, increasing your spirituality. I call it spice. How do I smell to my creator? I worship the creator of the universe. Some of you worship the universe. And there's something to that. You'll get some wins out of that. I take it a step further. I worship the creator of the universe. One of the ways that I'll know that I'm in a good marriage and that I'm staying in a good marriage is I ask myself, how do I smell to the creator of the universe? How do I smell to the being that created me? And I call that the aroma that you're giving out spice. Remember, why are you saying spice? Because a man that wants to restore his relationship should increase in his spiritual attractiveness and his physical attractiveness. Get your fat ass off the couch, stop eating Cheetos, and get in the gym. That's going to make you more physically attractive That in itself would create curiosity and help you restore the marriage. That's not enough, and she can grow to resent that if you don't start leading her as you're becoming the best version of yourself. As you start smelling better to your creator, you will smell better to your wife, to your lover. But one of the ways that you increase in your smell, meaning you smell better, is that you pivot in your leadership style. So it's not just about you becoming the best version of you. So for example, there's a lot of programs out there that come under the guise of, we're going to save your marriage and you should do no contact, which is such stupid horseshit unless you're a college student and your girlfriend of 3 months has said she doesn't want to be with you anymore. She's dating your best friend. If you're trying to attract that woman back in that scenario, go do the no contact. So why does the no contact programs have students that are joining them, and they'll never say anything bad about it, that have been in a 10-year marriage, a 5-year marriage, a 50-year marriage, but they're in those programs, they're feeling real good about themselves. Why? The marriage is not being restored because maybe you were having thoughts of depression or suicide before you joined that program, and they're teaching you to get back in the gym and increasing your physical attractiveness. Go do no contact. She's not deserving of your time. There is something to that after a relationship is pretty much restored. But if you're trying to restore a relationship with no fucking contact, I am sorry, that is the stupidest fucking crock of shit I've ever heard in my life, and it doesn't work. That's aligning your actions with your feeling. Does it make you feel good to ignore somebody that's not deserving of your time? Sometimes it does. Sometimes you're saying, oh, it's so hard to not contact her because I saw her in the grocery store, because it's stupid. It's not, you can't build intimacy. You can't make her feel emotionally safe with you. You can't smell better to her if you're not talking to her. The first thing I do in a program that I run called DivorceStoppers is say immediately, let's turn this train around that's heading to game over forever, maybe legally and emotionally. The first thing that we do is immediately up the communication. Immediately, the opposite of no contact. Now, what's different? Denver, I've been talking to her. I teach you how to talk to her. Right now, if you knew how to talk to her, you wouldn't be watching the video because the relationship would be, well, I get it. We're good friends. You know, we co-parent good. We're good. If she is not making love to you, you don't fucking know how to talk to her. You're not building intimacy. The Latin derivative of the word intimacy is into me, see. She doesn't feel seen. She doesn't feel heard. She doesn't feel valued. Therefore, you have no intimacy. When a woman feels emotionally, intimately penetrated by you, she will be ready to be physically penetrated by you almost always. So we call that making love. Well, so what I mean by that is, for a lot of you, you think you know how to talk to her. If you're not making love to her, I promise you, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need help. Watch every one of the videos on this channel, which you should have already hit the little bell notification to make sure you don't miss the upcoming videos where I'm talking about how do you build intimacy through text message. Text message is the easiest way to build intimacy and cause a woman to be so safe emotionally with you in her heart that she's ready to make love to you. It is an easy thing to do. And guess what? You can literally turn that train around in 7 days. In the DivorceStoppers program that I run and with my students, you're required to turn the train around in 7 days. And that might seem crazy. I didn't say we fully restored the relationship, but I said we make her feel so emotionally safe by communicating with her, because I teach you how to make her feel seen, heard, and valued. Well, Denver, I see her, I value her, and I hear her. No, you don't, because you don't know how. If you did, the relationship would already be restored and you wouldn't be watching this video. The way that you can have a paradigm shift up here is take advantage of your alone time right now and stop needing the marriage. Listen, if you need this relationship or this marriage to be happy, it will never, ever, ever be restored, because what you're doing is putting the responsibility for your happiness on your soulmate. And if you're doing that, she is never going to be your soulmate again. And if she's never actually been your soulmate, she never will be. Okay? So stop needing the marriage. Well, Denver, how do I stop needing the marriage? Do you want the relationship restored? If you do, tell yourself Today I'm making a decision. I'm going to be okay if this relationship isn't restored. Well, Denver, I thought you helped men restore their marriages and their relationships. Why are you saying I should stop needing it? Because it's never going to be restored until you stop needing it. When you stop needing it, you'll have a paradigm shift up here. You'll level up in your masculine leadership, and then you'll be positioned to actually do step one, aligning your actions with your goals instead of doing what you've been doing by aligning your actions with your feelings. My wife would actually call that you've been acting like a little bitch and pushing her away. So let's talk about step number 3. And almost all men do this. Right now, you haven't probably done this. Step number 3, you need to assess what is the specific cost that it is going to cost you, or maybe it's already costing you, or maybe it has already cost you. But what is the specific cost associated with game over? So for some of you, you're facing divorce, you're in separation, and you're in unicorn land because you're not facing the reality of where you're at. You're facing that the relationship could potentially end forever. A lot of you watching this video right now, you could very well be at a crossroads where the decision you make on the call to action that I'm going to give you at the end of this video, which is going to be very helpful to you and it's free. But right now, a lot of you could very well be at a crossroads where the decision you make by the end of this video is going to literally determine the way the rest of your entire life looks. So pay the fuck attention to me. And I wish somebody would have told me this about 13, 14 years ago when I was facing your situation the first time, whenever a long-term relationship of over 2 decades ended with the mother of my children. Not saying anything bad about that person, but I'm telling you that I didn't know what I teach back then. And if I would have, I truly believe that relationship wouldn't ended. Now, God allowed me to go through that, to use that as a tool to qualify me. So the cost that I got to experience and the price that my children paid, you can avoid that because I teach you how to do that. Because not only did I face that once, I was about to face it a second time and go through divorce number 2. And I figured out how to save that one. And I now teach you how to do that in these YouTube videos. So here's what you should do. And only few men do this, okay? Assess the cost. So Denver, what do you talk about the cost? The emotional cost because I'm depressed. The financial cost because I don't care about that. I just want her back. And if she's going to leave, she can take it all. I don't care about the money. Well, I'm going to tell you something. She does. She does. And for some of you, you care about the money too much because you're being stupid and thinking about, I can't pay for marriage counseling. I can't join one of those expensive marriage coaching programs because they're too expensive. Sit down with a calculator and ask yourself this. If you don't do something radically different and you do end up in Divorceville, how much is child support? Well, I don't know. Google it. For your state, for your country, for your province, how much is child support? How much of the home or the financial assets will she walk away with? Maybe you're living in a house and it's worth $600,000. Maybe your equity in the house is $600,000. She's going to walk away with $300,000. Well, that's fair, right? It is. But it's going to be a lot harder to restore the marriage if you let it get to that point, because that's 300,000 enemies of the marriage. The more she walks away with, I don't want to do anybody wrong, but you got to keep in mind, my goal is not to be fair in a divorce or even to teach you that. My goal is to teach you how to prevent a divorce. If you've already got a legal divorce, I can teach you how to stop the emotional divorce. Whatever, I think I already got an emotional divorce. She's living with a boyfriend. If she hasn't married him yet, you haven't got an emotional divorce. Guarantee it. How do I know that? Does anything about you still make her mad? If the answer is yes, could you possibly make her mad in any way? Okay. Anything to do with the relationship. Maybe you go date another woman. Maybe if you got remarried, would that hurt her feelings? If the answer to that is yes, you are not emotionally divorced. In 11 years I've been doing this, I don't think I've ever met a man that's emotionally divorced. So what I'm telling you, the reason it's very intelligent to assess how much is it going to cost you if you actually get a divorce, the cost, it's so funny to me. I see in my YouTube channel a lot, men making comments saying, I would love to do your actual DivorceStoppers program. And I'm like, dude, you haven't even done the free marriage U-turn masterclass that we're offering. And it's fucking free. just go register for it. I'm going to give you the website to do that in a second. But a lot of men, sometimes, depending on how severe the situation is, if she has confirmation bias, and if you don't know what that is, watch all my videos, because if your wife has confirmation bias and you don't know what that is, you're for sure going to get an emotional divorce if you don't recognize that. And I teach you how to do that in my other videos. But the reason that you need to actually assess what is the cost if you do end up in Divorceville, even if you don't care about the money, and for some of you, you care too much about the money. Some of you, you're not walking in reality. You're like, I can't afford a high-ticket coaching program. That would be too much. Well, I offer payment plans, and so does some of the other coaching programs that are out there. But how much is your child support going to be? How much your attorney fee is going to be? Well, Denver, I already paid an attorney, or I got to save my money in case I need an attorney. That's aligning your actions with your feelings. That's aligning. If you want the relationship restored, you know something? I can always tell where a man's heart is by looking at his pocketbook. Show me your checking account register, and I can show you where your heart is. So holding on the belief that you can't afford to do a high-ticket coaching program, how much is that belief going to cost you? Where is that bullshit showing up in other areas of your life? So let me give you an example. I used to believe that if I was having back pain, that I just had to live with that. And I held on to the story. It's genetic. My mother and my father had degenerative disc disease and arthritis, and I had arthritis and all these other medical issues. And that's just something genetic in my family. Don't you know I had scoliosis and hyposis and arthritis and all this other stuff, right? You know, that story, that while all that bullshit was true, I do have arthritis. I did get a diagnosis of rheumatoid arthritis, but holding on to the story that I had to live with that pain because it was genetic and I had these elements. While all that stuff was true, it was a story that I was telling myself because I was aligning my actions with my feelings. I felt bad, and so I shared that story. This is why I'm in pain. And then one day I said, you know what? I need to hire somebody that understands pain management better than I do in the form of a coach that can help me manage the pain. So now I'm in the gym, I'm doing physical therapy, I get massage therapy, I go to the chiropractor, and I literally don't have back pain anymore. Unless I get lazy, I start aligning my actions with my feelings, and guess what? When I started aligning my actions with my feelings, I pay a very expensive price in the form of my quality of life almost is unlivable because of severe back pain. So what I choose to do is invest financially in coaching, in chiropractor, in physical therapy, and these other things. And I get a return on the investment with a quality of life where my grandchildren, I have 7 grandchildren as of the date of the recording of this video. I think I'm the only grandparent that goes to Disney World in the United States. I don't live in the United States, but I like to go to Disney World with my grandchildren in the United States. And I meet them there in Orlando, and I think I'm the only grandparent that they have that rides the roller coasters because I chose to align my actions with my goals, let go of stories about, don't you know how much it costs to go to the chiropractor 3 times a week? How much does it cost to hire a physical trainer? All of that adds up. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than the financial price I would have to pay for the pain medication, for the Flexeril, and the Advil, and the Tylenol, and the Meloxicam that I used to be on. And then that stuff, I would get anxiety from the back pain, and I couldn't breathe. So then I had to get on Xanax, and then the doctor's visits co-pays. I was paying so much more financially to not invest in myself, and I was also paying the price emotionally and physically with the pain. So here's what I mean. Some of you are not investing in what you need to do to save your marriage financially and with your time, and you're going to pay a price that's so much more expensive in the future if you don't do that, both financially and emotionally. And guess what else? Who else is going to pay that price? Your mama, your daddy, your children, your stepchildren, and the love of your life. If you don't restore this relationship with her, statistically, she's going to go into another relationship with a great guy. He's going to start out that way in the beginning, and then her past relationship traumas, her confirmation bias, all the bullshit, her baggage is going to be carried into that. His bullshit, his baggage is going to be carried into that, and she's going to be on another failed relationship, so she gets to pay a very expensive price. People that will tell you, if you love her, just let her go. Why would you do that? She's going to be worse off financially. She's going to be worse off emotionally. And she's going to go through another shit show like this, statistically, with the next guy. If you really love her, get your shit together and do what needs to be done to not only attract her back, to fix you, to become the best version of you, but let me show you how to lead her to become the best version of herself. Doesn't that make sense if you really love her? Shouldn't you do that instead? Maybe you don't love yourself enough to invest in what you need to do emotionally and financially to get somebody that actually knows how to teach you what to do. Some of you, all you need is this YouTube video or all of the YouTube videos on my channel that's free to you. Some of you, you need more. You need the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that I do, and I'm going to tell you that website for that in just a second. You need the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that I do, and I'm going to give you that website here in just a second. If you'll get specific in assessing the cost, that if this relationship ends forever, what is it specifically? Write it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what it's going to cost me, my wife, my soulmate, my children, my stepchildren, my mama, my daddy, my friends. That was the couple's friends. This is what it's going to cost everybody emotionally. Now get very specific. This is what it's going to cost financially. Financially, child support, alimony, split assets, yada, yada, yada. The business, the car, the other business, the rental property. So if you add all that stuff up financially, then start saying, what's it going to cost you in your time? If this relationship ends, you're going to be single forever, or do you have to get out there and you start dating again? How much does it cost to start dating? It's way less expensive financially, emotionally, and spiritually to do what's needed to invest in yourself to become the best version of yourself. My program and this channel not only teaches you to become the best version of yourself, but also to lead her to become the best version of herself. Because here's the thing. If she doesn't change and you don't lead her to change, you will never have a thriving relationship, and most likely it won't even be restored. That's where what I do is radically different than any other motherfucker out there that's saying they can teach you to restore your marriage. How do you know if somebody can really help you restore your marriage? Number one, are they wearing a wedding ring? And if they are, how long have they had it on? Now, if they don't have a wedding ring on, they've never been in your shoes, and they've never successfully taken the boat to go in the direction you want to take yours, are they really the best person to be helping you? Maybe their daddy went through a divorce whenever they were a little kid, so now they have a heart to help people restore marriages, but they've never actually been married themselves or faced a divorce. Can that person truly help you restore your marriage? Hell no, they can't. Can they make you feel good about yourself? If you're facing suicide and they get your ass in the gym, of course you're going to feel good about yourself, and that would be a good investment even if it doesn't restore your marriage. But if your goal is to restore your marriage, hit the bell button on this YouTube channel and listen to every one of my videos, and also do the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that I teach you for free. Step number 4, a lot of you are praying for your marriage. I'm a big advocate of prayer. But here's the thing. Why is the statistical success rate among people of faith, in particular Christians, why is the success rate when you're facing an unwanted divorce or separation forever, she wants out, you don't, why is the success rate of reconciliation lower for Christians than non-Christians? Here's why. Because you're praying for God to help you restore your marriage. I'm an advocate of that, and I'm a staunch believer. I'm so much an advocate of it, I literally have a medically documented miracle where I literally, on my deathbed with stage 4 cancer, 3 angels visited me, 1 spoke to me, they gave me instructions, I followed them, and I have a medically documented miracle that saved my life. But if you're asking God to help you restore your marriage and you're not seeing it restored, it's because you're most likely doing what I did in a first marriage that I had that failed, and I was unintentionally using God as a crutch. How many of you have said this? Or you've ever posted this on some of the marriage support groups on Facebook, which are mostly a bunch of losers helping losers lose and feel good about losing. You're quoting scriptures to each other. You're praying for each other. I'm all about prayer. A prayer literally saved my life. I say that. You know what literally saved my life? Prayer with being obedient to do what I was told by that angel. If I hadn't have took the action step to exercise my faith, I would be in a casket today. I had 3 cancer doctors in Little Rock, Arkansas, tell me I needed to go on hospice, going to put me on feeding tube to keep me comfortable until I was in a casket. I didn't buy that horse shit. I went to God, I prayed, I got wisdom, and then I took action steps to align my actions with my faith. You ever heard this phrase? Faith without works is dead. if you don't do the correct work, what's seeking wisdom from somebody that's... How many of you are going to your preacher asking him for advice? How many of you are going to your preacher and asking him for advice? How many of you, you and your wife, went and sat with the preacher and his wife? If they have not been in your shoes, if your preacher has not been facing an unwanted divorce, his wife wanted a divorce, and he didn't, and he figured out how to single-handedly reattract her back and restore that marriage, he is not qualified to help you. Ask him to pray for you and tell him to pray that you'll come find me, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. God does not particularly call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Does that make sense? If they haven't been in your shoes, 9 times out of 10, I'd say 99 times out of 100, they don't know how to help you go where you need to go. I actually have a YouTube video you can check out. Go through my YouTube videos. It's not in the thumbnail, but it's in the description. It says on there, prayers alone is not enough. Sometimes it is. Sometimes God does miracles. God did a miracle for me. But interestingly enough, he did not give me that miracle until he sent me instructions. And I really believe that he would not have granted me that miracle if I hadn't have followed the instructions, if I hadn't have been obedient to get off my ass and do what I was told. If you're sitting there praying for God to restore your marriage and you're not aligning action steps and you're seeing things work, why would you expect God to do what you can't when you're not doing what you can? Invest in yourself and get help. Well, Denver, I'm praying for God to help me. God did help you. He created angels to help you, like 3 helped me, 1 spoke to me, and he created people to help you. For a lot of you, how many of you are driving by a homeless person on the side of the road? I wish God would do something. If God was real, wouldn't he do something about that? He did. He created your ass to help them get off the streets. God created people. And if you're expecting God to... how many of you put on these Facebook groups, I just give my marriage to God. I just give my marriage to God. God does not have a return desk for your marriage. God will help you restore your marriage, but not if you're giving the marriage back to him. It's your marriage. Take responsibility in your leadership. Get your shit fixed, and then help your wife by leading her back to fix hers. How many of you, your wife has told you, I feel like your child. You know, I feel like I need to go over here to find myself. It's because you have walked in the relationship believing you were responsible for your wife, and you've never showed up in your responsibilities to your wife. A man that walks in masculine leadership in his marriage will lead his woman to become the best version of herself. She is literally a flower in your garden that might have not ever bloomed. You have got to give her permission to bloom. The way that you do that is you give her permission to fail, to fall, and to fuck up. But a real man that's a masculine man, particularly a believer, is going to allow her to grow by going through some scraping of her knees, but then being there as the emotionally safe lover and partner that genuinely and intimately sees her, feels her, and hears her. I teach you how to do that. And that requires that you give her permission to make mistakes so that she can grow into a woman instead of you controlling her into a little girl. And that little girl is going to show up immature, and she's never going to be your helper because you're treating her like a little girl unintentionally. I get why you're doing it. I did it. I get why you're doing it. You think you're protecting her, but you're not. You're keeping her from growing as a woman to walk in her calling that God has called her to be. If you guys are married, that should align with who he's called you to be, but you're fucking it up because you're suppressing her as a woman. That's why she thinks the grass is greener on the other side, because you've never given her permission to blossom as the flower that she is, to become the beautiful creature that she's supposed to up here and in here and, quite frankly, everywhere else. And that's why she thinks you're controlling, because you don't see how controlling you've been. You think you've been a protector, but at the end of the day, she's thinking now you're a narcissist. You're not a narcissist. If you were, you won't give a shit enough to watch this video. But you've been perceived as a narcissist because you have been controlling. So you've been aligning your actions with your feelings, and you think that's in the best interest because you have a good heart. Your good heart is just directed in the wrong way. The free marriage U-turn masterclass that I do, I teach you how to take the first step to start turning that heart in masculine leadership, to not just change yourself, but to have contact, Don't do the no contact, that don't work. But to have contact, to build intimacy, to not just become the best version of yourself, you don't want to do that. She'll resent you for it. You want to become the best version of yourself and also lead her to become the best version of herself also. That's what makes her want to come back in your garden. That's what makes the grass greener on your side. So let me ask you this. How many of you have been putting in the Facebook groups or the marriage support groups or your church group, if you have a little prayer group or something like that, how many of you have been made comments about, I just give my marriage to God? It ain't gonna work. God does not want your marriage back. How many of you have been making comments like, I need prayer for my marriage in these Facebook groups, or you'll have 20 people, your friends and your family, you know, the MCI network of your prayer group, they're all praying for marriage restoration. Guess what? Unless God chooses to intervene and do the unusual by giving you a supernatural miracle, which he does do, but it's not the normal way he operates, and you know that. Instead of believing for the miracle, why don't you start aligning your actions with your goals in addition to the prayer? And then that kind of gives God a little bit more permission in your life where you're getting out of his way by showing him you're willing to do everything that you can. Faith without works is dead. If the works that you've been doing is not working, it's because those works have been aligned with your feelings. That's a feminine trait, and God's not a fan of that kind of character in a man. You've got to level up in your character. Spiritual, physical, intellectual, character, and emotional attractiveness increase in your smell, how you smell emotionally, spiritually, physically, intellectually, and your spice, your character, and emotional attractiveness. I teach you in the Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. But how many of you have given the marriage to God and now you're realizing, oh shit, he don't want my marriage back. He just wants to help me with it. How many of you have done those things? How many of you have started posting Bible scriptures on your Facebook? I want to know if you've done this and you've seen that it's actually hurting the relationship. Put that in the comments right now. And if it's something specifically that you're struggling with, number one, I read every single comment and I respond to every single comment, but it's also give me some ideas. I want to do a video on this for my next YouTube video, and I'd like you to put in there what you've been doing so I can maybe see whoever posts the most of a similar thing, so I can do my next video on what you're dealing with in that area, which might give you some more help. Put that in the comments right now, please. If you've given your marriage to God and you see that you need to do more than that, put that in the comments. I'd like to know what you've done, so maybe I can respond in a way that's going to give you some help. All right, so the fifth thing that you can do if you want to turn the marriage around, you want to restore it, you want to stop the divorce, is you're going to have to let go of the fear that you have. And so what do I mean by that? Well, there's a couple of different forms that most men have fear whenever they're in this stage. So here's the two different types of fear that almost all men have, and this is what I'm talking about. Right now, all of the evidence that you see that are giving you reasons that's making you think you can't restore this marriage, you can't restore the relationship, you can't stop the divorce. You're listening to your parents, you're listening to your siblings, you're listening to your friends, you're listening to your family members, you're listening to your wife, you're listening to your lover. She's telling you, we'll never be back together, I don't want anything to do with you, I've made up my mind. Denver, you don't know my wife. When she says something, she means what she says. Well, guess what? She married you once, she was with you, she had your baby, and now she wants a divorce. So she does change her mind. But what you've got to do is you've got to change what you're doing, which will cause her to change her mind. You're 100% right. If she doesn't change, there will be no relationship restored. You will get a divorce, and she will end up married to another man. So she does have to change, but you don't know how to change her. And because of that, you're fearful because of the evidence that you're seeing that there's a possibility that this marriage can't be restored. I like to call that fear false evidence appearing real, because there are some things that you can do to restore this marriage. Even if you're already legally divorced, if she's not married another man yet, you 100% can attract this woman back and remarry her. I had a student named Jason that literally got married, I think yesterday. I saw he just posted that on Facebook, where he went through a divorce, and I taught him how to retract his wife back. And he's a very spiritual person. He believes in prayer, but he aligned his prayers with the action steps and exercised his faith the right way. And not only did Jason become the best version of himself, walking in his spice, spiritual, physical, intellectual, and character, emotional attractiveness, also walking in the 3 Ps, positive, polite, and playful. You'll hear me talk about that in all of my videos, which is the opposite of the 3 C's, which is complaining, condemning, or criticizing, which will never work. That's always aligning your actions with your feelings. But as long as you're aligning your actions with your feelings, you're always going to have fear because you're going to believe the evidence, all the reasons that the world is showing you, the things that she's telling you, why this will never be reconciled. It's simply false evidence appearing real, but you're believing it because you don't see any other way to actually get some results to turn the train that's heading to divorce land, that's heading to game over forever. You don't know an action step to turn it back this way, to head back to reconciliation, to not just become the best version of yourself, but to also change her so that through your leadership, you actually see, hear, and feel her. And you're able through, after you do that, that positions you to very quickly change her, which will get her to change her mind, because you are the best qualified person almost always to lead her back to also become the best version of herself so that she can blossom as the beautiful flower she's created, the beautiful woman that she's supposed to be, to walk in her calling. You are the right person to lead her back to become the best version of herself and to help her do that. And I teach men to do just that. So that's one form of fear. The evidence that you're seeing in front of you that's causing you to not believe that the relationship can be restored, it's false evidence appearing real, because I can teach you how to do something different to start restoring the relationship. Okay, so what's the other fear? The other fear, almost all men have this at some point, and you may be in this place like I was. Are you in a place where you believe currently, like I believed, that I was driving down the freeway, I was facing an unwanted divorce of a long-term relationship where I had children involved, and I did not want that divorce. And I've actually been in that shoes. I've been in those shoes 2 times, which is where this program was born. But are you delusional right now where your subconscious, in order to protect your sanity, has shut down and you're not taking the grave seriousness of your situation, or actually acknowledging and admitting, where are you at? Do you see that your wife is driving a train? It's heading toward her being married to another man. Do you see that that's really where it's heading? And that if you don't do something radically different, the relationship is going to die and she will end up in a shit show with another man, which is going to cause her pain, heartache, grief, money, stress, her quality of life. And if you have children, they're hitched to that train. Okay? How many of you are in shutdown mode where you're not taking serious the graveness of where you're at? Friends, this is serious. This is what I meant at the beginning of this video, where I told a lot of you, I said, where you're at right now, for a lot of you watching this video right now, whatever you do at the end of this video, because I'm going to give you 2 calls to actions. I'm going to tell you about 2 things in just a couple of minutes that can help you radically turn this around fast, okay? But if you don't do it, the decision you're going to be making in the next few minutes will most likely determine the way the entire rest of your life looks. But it's not just your life that you're determining. The choice that you're about to make here in just a minute may very well determine the direction that the rest of your wife's life takes also. So ask yourself this: what do you want the rest of your life to look like? And if you really love her, what do you want the rest of her life to look like? So the 6th thing that you need to do, the way that we let go of that fear, is stop believing this. Stop having fear to the point that you won't admit, I am facing game over. If I don't do something radically different, she is going to be married to someone else. Acknowledge that this is something where you're really at. Don't let your subconscious suppress you seeing the reality of where you're at because you're so fearful you don't want to see that. Now, for a lot of you, you don't realize that you've shut down with that fear. Listen, I literally believed, if you've watched all my videos, you've heard me say this before. I was in this delusional state that I believed that I was just going to be driving down the freeway one day. I was going to hit this magical unicorn that was running across the road. It would absorb into my car. And then the next morning when I woke up, she would be beside me in the bed. This nightmare, this fucking nightmare that I was going through, where I had lost like 40 pounds in 4 weeks, because it was like the craziest unwanted thing I ever went through in my life. And I went through it twice. But I was actually delusional and in shutdown mode, where I just thought that it would just work out because I was praying. I was giving it to God. But I wasn't doing what was necessary that was working. I think, honestly, I didn't even know that there was somebody out there that could help me. I reached out to my best friend, which was my preacher, but he had a great heart and did everything he could to help me. He prayed with me. He gave me counseling and all this other stuff that a good friend would do. But guess what? He actually made things worse. You know why? With good intentions and a good heart, he had never been in my shoes. So quite frankly, he didn't know what the fuck to do to actually help me take that train to go where I wanted to go. So ask yourself this: is your wife driving the train to game over? Is she driving a train? And if the train ends up in the destination and the direction of where it's going, that's going to end up with her being married to another man. Are you an unwanted passenger watching the train go very fast? Is the train speeding up, headed in that direction? And you're a passenger that desperately wants to take control of the steering wheel. You want to put the brakes on the train and you want to stick it in reverse and go back the other way. But you're walking in fear and you're not seeing the grave danger that you're about to be in if you don't actually take drastic measures and do something now different than what you've been doing. Which leads me to step number 6. And listen, your situation will not change until you do this. Friends, this is what I mean when I'm saying the decision that you make right now is going to affect the way the rest of your life looks. I'm asking you to take action right now. I'm going to help you with that by giving you 2 action steps that you could do right away, that are free to you, that could put the brakes on the train and start the process of putting into reverse, heading back to reconciliation right now. Okay? So here's what those things are. One of the reasons that you've been aligning your actions with your feelings is because she's hurting you. Her actions are hurting you. To you, it looks like she literally is happy, and she quite frankly doesn't give a shit that you're in the worst pain that you've ever been in your life. All these changes that you've made, and it's not working. And she doesn't care that it's hurting you, and she seems like she doesn't really give a shit that it's hurting your kids even. If you're dealing with that, at the end of the video here in the next couple of minutes, my video editor is going to post a link to a video that's going to help you understand she really does care. And this is going to help you. Once you understand where her frame of mind is, it'll help you start aligning your actions with your goals because you'll understand what you're actually dealing with. Okay, so that's one thing. That's free. My video editor is going to put it at the end of this video. More importantly, though, I want you to do this right now. If you believe that you really are headed toward game over and you want to do something radically different right away, I want you to pause this video right now. And by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel and press the little bell notification, fucking do that right now. But after you do that, pause this video and go register for the free seats that we have. This week I'm doing it multiple times, but we're in divorce month number 2. And always when I post it this time of year, the seats fill up and I have about 1,000 people come and it says seats full. Pause the video right now and go to denvergriffin.com. My video editor's putting the link on the video, denvergriffin.com/masterclass, and register for a seat for the free marriage U-turn masterclass that I'm doing this week. That's going to be free to you, and this is going to be something that's going to help you start the process of turning that train around. Pause the video, go register for the class, and then come back, and we're going to give you a link to watch the next video, which is going to help you understand what she's thinking, which will help you when you actually attend the free marriage U-turn masterclass. Men, I love you, but I'm telling you that I'm telling you that I'm telling you, and I wish somebody would have told me this because it would have saved me a lot of grief, a lot of money, but at the same time, I'm glad I got to go through this because I can save you from going through the same pain and the same shit show that I went through. I can help you save your children being emotionally scarred for the rest of their life and being in a broken home, even when you have grandchildren. Register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass today, denvergriffin.com, and my video editor is going to put a video up right now. Watch it next, but don't watch that video until you register for that free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. I love you guys. I hope that this content's been amazing for you. If you need me to do a specific video on something else, put that in the comments right now. I will respond to every single comment, and I will certainly consider doing a video on that. Also, if I don't do a video on YouTube, if it's a shorter video, I might just put it on TikTok. You can follow me on my TikTok channel as well. With love, I'll see you soon.